right, what's up, everybody? Good Tuesday, almost Christmas. Back with another All Bass No Bull podcast. As you can see, JT's not here. He's running a little late in traffic, but we're super stoked tonight. We got Tucker Smith on with us. What's going on, Tucker?
Hey man, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. You all ready for Christmas?
I am. I'm really excited.
Daggone, I'm not ready yet. I still got shopping to do, so yeah, not good.
Yeah, I'm a last minute shopper too.
Yeah, me too. I'll probably be out there Tuesday, a week from today. I'll probably be out there scrambling.
Yep.
Well, man, a heck of a year you had this year. But first, let's kind of hear about your how you got there. Like, a little bit of your fishing history, maybe some mentors, and what got you on the path to get to where you are today.
Yeah, I started fishing in high school. I did the whole high school circuit. My grandfather and uncle really got me into it at an early age, and my parents were really supportive of me being able for me, to go to those tournaments and spend a lot of time on the water. But Aaron Martins was he was a big mentor of mine. I met him in high school when I was really young, and his daughter actually went to the same high school that I went to. So it was really cool getting to meet him and talk to him. And also Joey Nania, he was a big influence for me to get into tournament fishing. I remember fishing with him at an early age, and he really got the fire lit under me to start fishing a lot. And I fished all the high school stuff, had some success there, and then went to college at Auburn and started fishing there, and then started fishing the opens.
Right. Aaron was definitely a special person for sure. There'll never be another one like him. That's a fact. So after college, talk a little bit about college and some success you had there. And when did you kind of realize that bass fishing is what you wanted to do for a living?
Yeah, I'd say college is when it really set into, that's what I wanted to do for a living. It kind of became more of a reality in college fishing, because you've got the high school stuff, which is awesome. You get to fish some places, and then college, you actually get to travel around and go to these different places and learn and actually drive the boat and figure out these places and get to fish them. But I went to Auburn and I first fished with Logan Parks. He was a really good help with me, trying to get into the college rhythm of fishing all those tournaments and everything. Showed me, the ropes of college fishing. And then I ended up fishing with Hayden Marbut, which we had some great success. We were able to win a college national championship together, one on the Bassmaster side and one on the collegiate bass side. So it was a really, really special time. It was super fun getting to travel the whole country with some of my best friends.
Yeah. So it sounds like you kind of learned how to win in college and carried that over to the uh, elite the opens this year, which talking to Cody Meyer last week, he said it was like the easiest thing he had ever done. Like no challenge at all.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely the toughest
it's a
tournament.
gauntlet, right? I mean, it's really a amazing feat to go through those 9 tournaments and qualify for the elites. Talk a little bit about the year, and I'm sure there were ups and downs because everybody we've talked to has said that one minute you like be on top of the world, and the next minute you would be, oh, what did I do?
Yeah, the opens they're really wild because we had to fish all 9 of them, and traveling around the whole country, you have to go to all these different crazy fisheries and places that you've never been before. And it's really cool to be able to get to go to some of those places because you don't know what to expect. And yeah, I mean, from the first tournament, I didn't know, what to expect at all. Going to Okeechobee, ended up having a good finish there. And my worst finish was Santee Cooper, and I'll still remember it, as long as I live, because it was the most stressful tournament ever. I didn't have a limit one of the days, the second day, and it was a terrible finish for me, but it really got me, got my head right to want to keep pushing hard and fish harder and harder. From after that tournament, I ended up going to Logan Martin and getting a second place there. So I really knew that in my head I had to fish as hard as I could to try to make up some ground.
Right. Was there an event that you looked most forward to on that schedule last year?
Last year for the opens,
Yeah, for the opens.
yeah, definitely Logan Martin. That's my home lake. That's where I grew up fishing. So I was definitely the most excited for that one. Just having a lot of history out there, and growing up fishing out there all the time.
So we usually don't take questions to the end of this deal, but one just popped up that I think is pretty important that fits kind of into what we're talking about. Was it intimidating handling that level of pressure? Um, yeah, I mean, it's some good dudes out there, right?
Yeah, definitely for sure. I mean, it's a big jump from college to the opens, and like the pressure in the opens is a lot, because if you slip up one time, you might be able to make some ground back up and get back in it, but if you slip up twice, you're done. So there's definitely a lot of pressure in it, and somehow you have to click that in your head to turn off, all the pressure, and you just have to go fishing. It's one of the hardest things to do, but I had to learn that this year, is how to turn off, that switch inside my head to stop worrying about everything and just go fishing.
Right. So that sounds like that's kind of the key, not to worry about the pressure. Just go out there and do what you do best, and that's catch bass. Um, just for any viewers that don't know, Tucker, how old are you?
I'm 23.
23, the ripe old age of 23. That's crazy. Uh, was there an event that you were kind of dreading on that schedule, the open schedule?
Um, I mean, after I went to Santee Cooper, I was dreading it, but honestly, I was dreading Santee Cooper and Okeechobee
Right,
most, just because I'd never been to those places,
right.
and
That was my
yeah.
next question. How many of the lakes on the 9 event venue had you been to before?
um, I'm trying to think of where all we went. I know I'd say over half of them I hadn't been to before.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Probably
So
half of them.
when you get to a lake like that, and assuming you didn't get any pre-practice there, how do you go about breaking that down? I mean, where do you start?
I mean, for a lake that I've never been to
Right,
before,
one that you've never been to before.
yeah, honestly, it's just getting out there and, just trying to think of every scenario you could possibly do. Because with the opens last year, we had 5 days of practice. So we had a lot of time to kind of ride around and kind of get a lay of the land and try to figure out what was going on. And the crazy thing is that you've got that much practice with that many guys that are super good at fishing. The lake changes so much by practice to the tournament. So you kind of have to adjust through practice into the tournament. By the tournament, most of the fish are doing something, completely different than what they're doing in practice. So you kind of have to adjust every single day.
Right. So how about, were your parents at all leery of letting you go travel all over the country in college or for the opens?
Honestly, not. I mean, they know that I loved fishing so much, and that was what I was wanting to do. And I was always traveling around at a young age. As soon as I got my license, I was, going fishing somewhere. So I've always been driving places, going fishing early in the morning, late at night. So they're kind of
Right.
used to it by now.
So we had, let me see, the week before that, no, 2 weeks ago, we had Drew Gill and Marshall Robinson on, and it just, the amount of knowledge that y'all have, again, at such a young age. I guess it's just so readily available nowadays. Like back when I was a kid, Bassmaster magazine and Bassmaster on Sunday morning was about all you got.
Yeah.
So looking at for a young angler, what's the best resource that you would tell them to kind of lean on, other than getting on the water? Of course, there's no substitute for time on the water.
Yeah, I would say YouTube is huge, especially nowadays. There's so many YouTube videos you can watch. Bass University is a good option too. They do a lot of good stuff.
Right.
But just stuff like that. If obviously time on the water is the best, but just getting on your phone, doing a lot of Google Earth research on lakes, that's a big thing. Seeing what the lake looks like in different times of the year, the water levels, all that stuff.
Right, right. Do you look at any like past history of the lake to kind of know what it takes to win a weekend tournament or 1 day weekend tournament there?
Yeah, I'll go online and look at like tournament results sometime. Most of the biggest thing I do is, go back and look at Bassmaster old tournaments that they had at those lakes and stuff like that.
Right. That makes sense because you got the best of the best doing it. You want to know how they're catching them, right? Or at least have an idea of how they caught them, even if it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, just seeing what the kind of the weights are, what the weights are like, the different conditions the lake has and stuff like that.
So we're moving into the Elite Series schedule, which is starting here soon, in just a few weeks.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there was no off season this year for me. It seems like it just finished up at the U.S. Open, and now it's time to go back. But the schedule, is there one tournament that you're really looking forward to on that schedule?
I mean, I'm honestly looking forward to the whole schedule. I wouldn't say there's one event that I'm looking forward to the most. I'm just excited to get out there and go fishing. I think it's going to be cool. Just looking
Right.
around and seeing all those guys around you that I've looked up to for so many years.
I heard. So who are you traveling with? I heard rumor.
I'm traveling with Paul Marks and Emil Wagner and Andrew Loberg.
Yeah, I talked to Andrew the other day, and he said y'all were traveling together. Oh Lord, wait a minute, we got somebody showing up here. Hold on, let me get him on here. JT,
What's up, fellas?
you
What's
saved
up?
me.
Sorry I am late.
No big deal, man. No big deal. We were having some conversation about Tucker's college days and moving through the opens this year, and he was just explaining how easy it was to get there. Not much of a challenge. And, so I tell you what.
I thought you were gonna say we were all surprised he graduated.
Yeah.
Hard to graduate when you're never there. You're on the water 24/7.
Yeah, I heard something about a nickname too, but I'll just leave that. But Tucker, you will have fun with that group you're traveling with. You'll see me a lot at the house. Andrew and I are pretty good buddies.
Heck yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Together a lot. Yeah, I'm excited about it. JT, I'm going to hop off here. We were just kind of touching on the Elite Series and the start of it.
Awesome. What's happening, Tuck?
What's up?
He's talking about the fact that we still call you Baby Tucker.
Oh.
Little inside story to some of the people that are watching right now is Tucker was not even 21 when we did our first photo shoot. After GSM bought Yamamoto and Tucker came down, we did a video shoot down in Texas. And I believe you can back me up on this. You kicked me out of my own boat and it put me on the bank, and you caught fish out of my boat.
No, that's not true.
That is 100% true.
That's not true.
I literally had to sit on the bank and watch you guys catch fish.
That was a fun time.
Yeah, we're trying to go back there.
Yeah, we need to go back.
Yep, I think the plan is possibly February.
Okay.
So we're gonna try to do so. You'll probably be on tour. You can't do that stuff now. See?
Oh, maybe we can find a free week to go. I want to go back. I want to go back to that place. It was pretty.
Yeah,
fun.
that place was incredible. Well, congrats, man. I know you and I have talked about it and stuff like that, and I'm not sure what you and Ricky talked about, but yeah, an absolute grinder of a year coming through those opens.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a heck of a year. A lot of ups and downs, definitely.
Yep, that's you're going to have that this year probably as well.
Yeah.
What are you? I came on just as you were saying who you were going to travel with. Sounds like a good group of guys, because I know I was asking Logan. I was like, well, of course they're a full house too.
Yeah.
I knew that wasn't going to happen. So, but that's awesome. You got a good group of guys there to travel with and come up the ranks worth. And what are you most looking forward to? What event are you looking forward to? Are you just the whole season, or a specific lake that you're excited about, or?
Yeah, I was telling Ricky, I'm excited about the whole season. Honestly, just getting there and looking around at all the guys around you that you've looked up to for so many years. It's just cool to be there. I think I'm not really looking forward to a specific event, just to be there and compete.
Yeah, you do that very, very well. I've been on the boat with you and watched you on the old forward-facing sonar and just regular fishing. I know. That's one of the things I want to touch with tonight. Not going down that rabbit hole. We're keeping everything positive, but I don't think the people give some of you guys enough credit that you know how to fish. It doesn't matter if you take that front graph off and turn it off. You still know how to read a lake, break it down, channel swing points like that.
Yeah.
One of the questions I had written down that people always ask is like, what's your favorite style? Like, just what is it? I mean, obviously, is it offshore, inshore? Is there, jig? What is it? I mean, jerk bait.
I mean, I grew up fishing, swimming a jig and flipping on the Coosa River. That was one of my favorite ways to fish. But growing up, going from high school to college, I really started liking offshore fishing. I would say, like, my favorite way is ledge fishing. That's my favorite way of catching a bass for sure. Getting a school fired up and being able to put 5 big ones in the boat real quick. I think that's one of the most fun ways to do it.
Yeah, I think you did that at Gunnersville maybe, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago we caught some nice ones.
Yeah, that lake is just absolutely on fire right now.
It is for sure.
Good times. So you're traveling with that crew. You made the elites. I mean, how old are you now? 23, 24?
23.
23. Dreams come true. I mean, a lot of people don't know that you, three high school national championships?
Yes, sir.
And 1 or 2 college?
2 college ones.
2 college. And then there's the $1 million championship. Yeah. For some of you tuning in, I don't know if you know that, but Tucker and one of his college partners are in there, Logan, they actually won the $1 million Johnny Morris. Was it what they call it, the U.S. Open or the Bass Open?
Yeah, the U.S. Open Championship.
Right here on my home lake at Table Rock Lake.
Pretty crazy.
I wish I could go out and still learn how to catch fish like you guys did.
I wonder if it's still good like it was.
It's not. Trust me, I live here. I won't say that. I saw the first 30-pound bag on Table Rock in a long, long, long time this last year.
No way.
They caught 30 pound. I think it was 30, just barely over 30 on Saturday. And then a different tournament on Sunday had like 28 and a half or almost 29.
Golly, that's crazy.
That does not happen. Sometimes it takes me two or 3 tournaments to get 30 pounds.
Yeah. That's unreal.
Oh yeah. It was crazy. So what are you running for a boat this year? Still nitro?
Nitro 21 XL.
Very nice. You got your new one all dialed in yet?
It's about to be here. Then I'm going to get it dialed in.
Very nice. So where are you calling home now? Where are you living at?
I live in Gunnersville now.
Really?
Yep. I've lived here for, I'd say, probably about 6 months, 5 months.
Both my older boys live there now too.
Do they?
Yep. Tyler's working for Duckett, and then Jacob's traveling on the Bass Elite. So you'll see Jacob so little known, if you need some cameraman right there, Jacob lives right on the water in Gunnersville.
Oh, heck yeah. I definitely need to hit him up.
Yeah. He's been doing some stuff with Randy and Laker and some of those guys too. So definitely.
Awesome.
Let's see what else. I'm looking at some of the. Yes, Cole. Yes, it's not really my lake. I still don't know how to fish it. Looking at some of the questions coming in here. Hopefully we get a good crowd coming in. But coming up, another one that people were talking to me about was the transition from high school to college to the opens to elites. I mean, kind of explain that journey of like how you did it, and I mean what it took, the time, the commitment. support from friends, sponsors. I mean, what I'm trying to help out too is the fact of like how much work it is. You do have a lot of work off the water with sponsors and obligations, how to negotiate contracts, things like that. So as a 23-year-old, let's explain to some people kind of, behind the scenes, what it takes to really chase down that dream like you did.
Yeah, it honestly takes a lot. I mean, it's not just a fishing side; it's also a business side. So, from high school, I was able to have some success there, and ended up picking a few sponsors up, and I kind of got the ball rolling at a young age, with trying to figure out all that stuff. So it helped out a lot. But going from high school to college to the opens, it was kind of like a stair step. It kind of built off of each other. So you got like a high school scenario where you go out there with a partner and a boat captain, and then college you get to go out there with a partner, and you get to go out there to all those places and travel together with a buddy and figure it all out, and be able to go to all those different places that the opens might end up going to. So from then on, going to the opens, it was a big eye opener for me. You never really know when you're ready to fish the opens, because it's such a big tournament, lots of competition, everybody's so good. But ended up just jumping in all 9 opens, and ended up doing better than I expected. I didn't expect to make it my first year. I've seen how tough it is to make the Elite Series, and honestly, I was truly blessed to be able to make it.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. I mean, it was, knowing a lot of you guys and watching for years and stuff like that, just the grind. I mean, we've been trying to explain to a lot of people, and when I do seminars or speak at a college or something for social media management or whatever, I'm just trying to tell people it's so much more than just fishing, right? The fishing is the cool part and breaking down a lake and stuff like that. But, learning that business side, like you said, you're 23 years old, right out of college. You're now your own brand. You are Tucker Smith Fishing. So now I've got to carry myself and represent your sponsors, and you've got social media obligations, you've got appearances, you've got things like that. You got to represent yourself well in the water and off the water. And sometimes that's not easy. There's a lot of guys on the water that might push your buttons a certain way.
Yeah.
I know they have mine. But so like this last year coming up through the opens, you had some great finishes. You had, I think, one bomber down there, wasn't it? Right off the bat.
That was Santee Cooper.
Yeah, and you've had some experience on Santee.
No, that was my first time there.
Oh, was it? Okay, I thought really, you did not fish that in college?
No.
Wow.
No, so it was an eye opener for me, and it was one of those moments where you're like, you think your season's over, and then you just have to try to ball out the rest of the season to try to make it back in there, because it's one of those points where you can either give up or you can try to do as much as you possibly can. So you just can't have another slip up if you have a bad one like that.
So we had Cody Meyer on last week, and he was just talking about how he felt like some of the decisions he was making, everything just kept panning out. Some of the stuff didn't make sense. It just like it was meant to be. I mean, how through that season and the 9 events, like when did you like really thought, oh crap, man, I really might have a shot at this? Like how far, halfway or not until the very end did you think, man, not that you're thinking you're safe, but when did you really think that, man, I made the right decisions on this lake and it kind of turned the corner for you?
Honestly, I think it was about halfway through the season when I kind of flicked the switch in my head to kind of not worry about practice and just go fishing. I mean, I'd say there was at least 4 tournaments last year that I caught them all off new water in the tournament. So that's the biggest thing like that I learned this year is being able to, throw away practice and be able to just go fishing, because by the time the tournament gets around, the fish are doing something completely different most of the time with 5 days of practice. So that was
200 and some boats.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing for me was when I started being able to figure out what those fish were doing in the tournament and not just relying on practice. That's when I kind of figured, I might have a chance at this if I keep doing that.
So when you're practicing, like Cody was telling us, he spent 2 or 3 days in the water and never ever once made a cast in practice. He is literally graft, and he's kind of old school stuff like that. But like, how much time do you think that you're spending behind that graph, and how much time are you actually, casting and trying to catch a fish and figure something out?
Yeah, I would say I'm a little different than a lot of people at practice. I'd say like at least 75% of the time I'm looking. I don't make a cast. So I just have a lot of trust in my electronics, and I've spent a lot of time behind them, and I kind of understand what I'm looking at with that kind of stuff. So I really just sit back and trust them and try to find as many places that I think could hold a bass, and ambush places where, I think I could get them fired up on a place.
Do you think, how much is the one transducer going to affect that kind of practice that you had this year? Is it going to affect you a lot or somewhat?
No, I think it's still, the same guys are still going to be able to use it that use it. But I think that for me personally, I had a scope on the back, and I think that was pretty cool. It, eliminated a lot of water, just being able to not have to get up on the front all the time and look at everything. But yeah, I'm still going to break it down the same way that I did with side scan for sure.
Very nice. What's your go-to when you get up there? I know every lake is different, but are you a Nico rig guy? You a shake that minnow guy? Which is your go-to right off the bat?
I like throwing a minnow for sure. I've definitely had a lot of success on it in the past, and it's something that I've been throwing a traditional like Demiki rig for, I'd say, since 2000, probably like since 2012 or something, like on 2D. I've always, like, since dropping it down on 2D, I've always used it for a long time. So I've definitely spent some time with it.
Watching the old mark kind of come up on the old 2D real slow.
Oh, yeah.
The breakup of the line going down.
Oh yeah, spaghetti noodles down there. You just drop down.
Yep.
I remember that a long time ago.
That was us back in the day, but it was usually crappie fishing. That's where we really learned to, really play around with that and then kind of switch it over to bass. Drew Gill and I were talking though, is one of the things that, having the 2D scanner, are the fish that educated now that if you've got that up front and you're doing that 2D, is that pinging really affecting it to where you're not able to catch as many? What's your thoughts on that?
I think the fish are definitely smarter. I think that the pinging, I think if your boat's on top of the fish, they can sense the boat being there more than, the pinging. The pinging is pretty loud. Like, if you've ever been in the water before and like heard somebody's transducer going off, you can hear it pinging pretty loud. But I would say definitely with the forward facing, the fish have definitely got smarter and they've gotten adapted to it. So you can't really, it's not as much of dropping down on the fish as it used to be. It's more of casting to the fish before they sense your boat.
Yeah, one of our crappie anglers, I was talking to him, I was like, they use those 18 and 20-foot crappie rods. And he's got that thing out there, trolling motor on 10, chasing those big 3-pounders down just because they're smart. The only way to get it is that 20-foot pole out in front of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I've talked. You watch them catch a 3-pound or a 3.5-pound bass on that 20-foot. You're talking about a fight when you got that 20-foot rod out there. It's kind of comical to watch.
Yeah.
But they know what they're doing. I promise you on that one. A couple other things that I had questions here that I had written down, but I forgot them because I was running late. We were watching a traffic accident, so I was running a little behind. One of the other ones that I know we've taken on social media lately is crankbaits. When was the last time you threw a crankbait, or do you throw a crankbait much at all?
I do, especially in the summertime. Like when those fish first get offshore and get on those ledges, they'll eat a crankbait really good. Sometimes they'll eat it good later in the summer too. It it can kind of be a deal sometimes, a little bit later just to trigger reaction strike. But I do a little bit of shallow cranking. It depends on water clarity. If the place is super dirty, then I'll definitely do some shallow cranking. You follow Oklahoma, I caught half my fish in the tournament on a shallow crankbait. So I'd say that I like doing it a lot. It just kind of depends on the water clarity.
I went over that lake yesterday morning and last night. We made a quick run to Texas and back yesterday. So it is definitely muddy and dirty right now when you go across that bridge because they've had rainstorms out here quite a bit.
Yeah, I bet. That place gets chocolate milk.
Was that, you fall out? I know for some people that was kind of a make it or break it lake. I mean, I think it's a big lake, but does it really fish that big when you've got 200 and some boats on there to you?
No, it doesn't fish big at all. It fishes super small. I would say because there's not much clarity there, so the places that had clarity, most of the boats were in those areas and it was tough to get bit. But that was one of those tournaments that I was talking about where I found them during the tournament and ended up catching them.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to go, Ricky, turn on some questions here. Let's get some questions for young Tuck here. What was that? Somebody asked, you see that on the screen there, Tucker?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yep. Well, what's your answer on that? Was it intimidating handling that level of pressure?
Definitely, for sure. I think it's super intimidating getting to fish against all those guys and that level of fishermen on all those lakes. It's definitely intimidating. But like I was telling Ricky, I mean, you kind of have to turn that off in your head and just kind of go fishing. And it's like the hardest thing to do, but there's definitely a lot of stress involved. It's definitely the most stressful tournaments that I've ever fished in my life.
Is it just the sheer number or just the pressure that, man, I've got to make it to the elites? Like I've been doing this my whole career. I want to make it,
It's both. I would say it's both. It's definitely both because you've got that many guys out there that are so good and you have to catch them every time. You can't really slip. Like you'll have a really good day that you think in your head and you come back to weigh-in and you actually didn't have that good of a day. It's one of those things.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Gunnersville rolling in with 31 pounds and not even cashing a check for people. Or, Lake Fork last year, watching so many dirty 30s roll through there and guys coming in with 22 and 23 pounds and finding out that they're in 48th place. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, for sure.
So somebody said, are you going to fish the EQs next year knowing that you're an elite qualified, but are you going to fish any of the opens?
Yeah, I think I'm going to fish the last three elite qualifiers. I think it'll be fun. I think I think it'll be something fun to do, get to fish a little bit more.
Very cool. Are you classic qualified?
No, not this year. So hopefully by next year, I'll hopefully be able to fish that tournament.
That would be Ray Roberts this year, another stumpy Texas lake.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get to that tournament for a long time. I've come up short 4 times to get into the classic, so it's definitely one that I want to get to bad.
Oh yeah, the bracket, right? Yeah, you finished second in the bracket, right?
I finished second in the bracket twice, and then I got 2 seconds in the opens.
So close. As Cody would say, if it's meant to be, I guess it was meant to be, like last year.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you got any magic baits that you want to debut or show us, or anything that you're looking forward to this year that's come out? Or
yeah, I've got these 2 right here. The new trick shad, my Buka.
Oh yeah,
I've spent some time throwing it. I really like it. It's awesome, an awesome bait for the price. You can't get a glide bait that runs that good for that price. So, especially if people are looking for a glide bait to throw for a good price, I would definitely recommend that bait. I've caught a lot of fish on it around here at Gunnersville, and it just mimics a really good looking shad imitator for those fish that are feeding up on bait this time of year.
And I will say this, it's kind of effortless. I will say, I mean, obviously I got the prototypes long time ago and got to play around with it and that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's really, like I said, for a beginner that's throwing a glide or anything like that, it's I mean, just a twitch, and just a half crank and that thing darts. But so what like, how do you fish it? What's your, like, what rod do you throw it on? What pound test? What's your favorite way to fish glides?
Yeah, I mean it's not a super heavy glide, so I don't throw like a super heavy rod for it. You can throw a 7.5, 7.6 heavy on it, and you can throw 20-pound test. Um, that's what I usually like to do. But really, I add a lot of weight sometimes to the trebles, and then you can add a strip to the bottom of it. Um, but yeah, you can add a strip like right here, or you could wrap some lead around the treble hooks and make it sink a little bit more. If you're looking at fish on live scope, you can let it sink down to those fish and get their attention a lot faster instead of having to wait for it to sink, super slow to get down to them. So that's one of my favorite ways to do it for sure.
So are you using that like on forward facing sonar and those suspended fish? Are you picking up a glide a lot more?
Yeah, for sure. You can definitely do it. I mean, that's what I've been throwing it a lot in the last, I'd say the last month or 2 months, probably. I've been catching a lot of fish on it.
We had some good luck with it up on Lake of the Ozarks. That's one of them clear lakes and between the docks and everything else. Pretty fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Like I said, I've thrown a lot of them. You've got a lot of $150, $300 glide baits that I'm not throwing, but other guys are. So you can get that thing out there, and like I said, Mike has done a great job with that one.
It's cool because it's got, not just the action of, the glide action of back and forth. It's also got more of like a rolling glide action. So it's got a secondary action too. And that's something that those fish really like, is that rolling action. So I think it triggers some more bites.
Yeah, I think the old forward facing sonars and some of the shads out there and stuff like that have proven that they definitely like the roll. There's no doubt about that. And I think that's one of the benefits to me of forward facing sonar is it's taught us so much of how we thought fish reacted and then how they really react.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time with you and Drew and some of those guys and Laker that I've spent time with on the boat is how you guys can pick apart, and the difference between a 3-pound bass, a 5-pound bass, a 3.5-pound bass. I mean, and it's just, I mean, do you just equate that to time on the water and time using your graphs?
Definitely, for sure. I mean, the more time you spend with it, the better you're going to get with it. I'd say a lot of the times I don't change my settings a whole bunch. I try to keep it kind of similar to the same so that, those fish kind of look the same as what they always look like. And you kind of get an idea of the size and, the depth. You can kind of tell when you set your depth and set your distance and you keep it kind of around the same. Those fish will show up, looking the same on all the circumstances that you fish. So you kind of get an idea of how big that fish is.
What's your favorite color palette?
It really depends.
You change it?
Yeah, it depends on water clarity a lot, but I really like amber or lava. I usually run lava. That's one of my favorites.
Sunglasses change a lot too. I think that's one of the things I've noticed is how much I can see. And obviously I'm getting older, so I've got reader glasses. I got to see just to tie on my hook and stuff. So it's a little different for me getting my age right now.
It also depends on what graph you're running. Like if you're running some series run better with different colors than others.
Very true. What is your absolute favorite place to fish? Where do you just love to go and fish? What lake or river?
Man, that's a tough one. I would say probably my favorite place now is Gunnersville. I mean, that's where I've lived for the last 6 months, and it's been a lot of fun. That's no secret that it's a fun place to fish, but I would say fishing on the Coosa River is really fun to me too, just because it makes me feel at home, and you can catch a lot of big spots there, and they fight really hard because they're all up in the current. Coosa River spots are definitely some of the meanest fish, and it's a lot of fun going back home and fishing some of those smaller Coosa River lakes too.
There's nothing like going back home.
Yep.
Now spotted bass, largemouth, or smallie?
That's a tough one for sure. What about you first?
Smallmouth.
Smallmouth?
And I mean, we've got decent, around here we've got decent spotted bass. I've never really been, on one of those lakes where, hey man, you can just go out and shred 4 to 5 pound spots or whatever. But I just absolutely love the fight and jumping and everything there is about just hooking up to a 4 or 5 pound smallie. And I've got to fish the St. Lawrence River, and that fed my addiction probably even stronger, because I got caught in a few days that we were up there. I caught, I think, 25 over 5.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was just the tug, the fight, and they're getting a lot better here on Table Rock and some of the lakes here. And so I just love that fight, man. And I love watching them jump. I'm a photographer and videographer, so we're all about the action, right? So
yeah,
that's what I kind of love too. In a tournament, not so much, I don't want them to jump. I don't want to do that, but I just love everything about them. They're just a mean fish, pound for pound. They're just mean.
They're super pretty too.
Yeah, and when you get them, and you never know when you pull them out of the water. You got dark, you got light, you've got the stripes, you got, it's the same thing with largemouth and stuff. I mean, spotted bass usually kind of stay that same color, but I mean, largemouth, you got real dark or yellow bellies and that kind of stuff. But man, there's just something about the mean old smallies, and when they're aggressive and they bite, they just hammer it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you'll hook like a dark one and you'll get it all the way to the boat and it'll be light by the time you get it.
And by the time you pull it out of the water, it's like it just changed colors.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I would say probably spotted bass, because I just grew up catching them, and that's probably one of my favorites. But I don't know. I'm really liking the largemouth. I like largemouth a lot. They just get bigger, so it's fun for sure.
Yeah, I talked to Kelly Jordan was telling me that he hates smallmouth. He just hates going up north or whatever, just because he's like, I'm like, and I told him, hey, I caught this many, 5 pounders. He goes, that's my point. I would rather go catch 1 10-pound largemouth than 25 5-pounders. And I'm like, not me.
Yeah.
I say that, but I have not caught a double digit yet. I have not been in the double digits yet. So
you need to go to Mexico.
I know. I do want to go there. Yeah, I was talking to a buddy of mine's down at Falcon Lake right now guiding. So when are you going to lake? Have you ever been to where you used? Oh, where do you start when you roll up for practice?
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends on, where that place is in the country. I fished a bunch of different lakes growing up in my life, so I've been to a lot of the places that we go to. But if it's a place that I've never been before, I definitely do, a lot of research, like watching old Bassmaster tournaments or watching some YouTube videos, but just kind of getting out there. And like in the opens last year, we had 5 days of practice, so we really had enough time to just kind of ride around and feel it out and see what, the bite was going on. So just kind of getting out there, looking at, contour changes, seeing what the water clarity is, the water temperature, and kind of lining it up to your style of fishing.
You use Google Earth a lot or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I definitely use Google Earth a lot, seeing different water levels and seeing water clarity and all kinds of stuff like that.
How long out do you start mapping out if you're going, like, I'm sure like you got the whole elite schedule now, that. I mean, are you already just digging into everything you could find?
Not really, honestly. I do research, but honestly, I kind of like to show up with a fresh mind and just go after it and not really expect anything, because you never really know. I mean, you see past tournaments or one doing this or something like online or in a previous Bassmaster tournament, but you might be able to go out there and figure out something completely different that nobody's ever done. So I kind of like to go into it with an open mind as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've got that place on Table Rock, and it being a river system lake, and going out in front of our house and swimming and stuff like that, I can't begin to tell you how much the bottom of my lake changes from one year to the next. I mean, it can be muddy all summer and everything else. And the next year we got the rains, it comes through and it's all pea gravel. I mean, it can literally change the bottom. And I've never seen that until I had that place, because we had a place on a different lake and it was just, not a river system lake. But I mean, it's mind blowing how much it can change year after year.
Yeah, it is definitely crazy how lakes change. And, sometimes you get really rainy seasons, and some of these places with a lot of grass, it tears up a lot of the grass, so lakes can change every year. So just like you were saying.
Absolutely. What's the biggest bait y'all ever, what's the biggest bass you've all ever caught, Tuck? And what bait?
The biggest bass I ever caught. The biggest bass I ever caught in my life was in a pond by my house. I caught a 12-pounder on a chatterbait.
Nice.
But I'd say I went to El Salto. I've been to El Salto 3 times with my dad. We go on trips in the summertime. We go there once a year. But I caught a 10.5 at El Salto on a big worm, and that was really fun.
The 7-inch Cinco is El Salto. That's everybody that goes down there, and the guides, all that. Whenever they hit us up, they want 7-inch Cincos. That's the worm they don't want the 10-inch. They just want that big, fat, giant 7-inch Cinco.
Yeah, it's a good bait out there. I've caught a bunch of fish on the Cinco out there too. There's so many 5 and 6 pounders in Mexico. You got to go out there and try
it. Yeah, I'm dying. Like I said, a buddy of mine guides down there, and he does El Salto, and he has his camper in Falcon, and then goes back and forth. And I'm every year he's like, "You got to come down. You got to come down," and then something else comes up, and you know how it is.
Yeah.
But see, I was just looking at the questions. I think that's why is the Cinco so good? Because it's the Cinco. You can answer that one, Doug. Why is the Cinco so good?
It's the shimmy on the fall. The Yamamoto's got it. It's just like the way that it falls. It shakes when it falls, and a lot of those other Cincos, they don't have that fall. They just kind of slide down. But the Yamamoto's got like that twitch when it falls, and it's just like a secondary action, like I was talking about earlier. That bait falling down in the water column's one of the actions, and that twitching is another action. And fish like secondary actions like that. It's something slight that a lot of people don't think about, but it's something that catches a lot of fish and catches really big ones too.
Yes, it does. It is that, and the who's your fishing hero?
My fishing hero, Aaron Martins, for sure. I was lucky enough to be close with him, and when I was growing up through high school, I was able to spend some time with him and learn some stuff from him, and it was awesome meeting him and fishing with him a few times, and just kind of sitting around and talking fishing. He was one of the best people I've ever met, and not just fishermen, but people in general. Just the way that he talked to people. Like, I remember when I was really young, it's like the first time I ever went fishing with him. He's like, I got in the boat with him. He was like, "Where do you want to go fishing? Or where do you want to go?" And I was like, "I don't know. You're Aaron Martin, so why are you asking me where I want to go?" I was just a little kid, but the way that he treated other people, it was really awesome.
Yeah, it's one of my biggest regrets. Like, I was around him a lot, at different events and different things, but I never got the chance to get to know him or talk to him. But man, you'll never hear one person say anything bad about him. And I knew he was kind of a mentor to you, coming up, and so many, but just the fishing knowledge is just crazy.
Yeah.
Good one for sure. What's your favorite color of Cinco?
Mine, I would say my go-to is just green pumpkin. That's the best. I think that's the best color in my opinion, but I'm sure other people could say differently. But my opinion, I like green pumpkin. It's just natural.
Yeah, you're right there with me. I mean, there's 18 or 25 different colors of green pumpkin because of the different copper flake, purple flake, yellow flake.
I just like black flake, green pumpkin, black flake.
297, and yeah, there's so many of them. But yeah, the Cinco. How about 5, 6, or 7? 5-inch, 6-inch, 7. What?
I'd say my favorite's 5-inch. I think it just gets the most bites. You know, if you go to a place with some bigger fish, the 6 and the 7 is definitely a really good option. But I'd say 5-inch is my go-to.
Yeah, man, you can skip that thing under a dock. You can Texas rig, you can wacky rig, you can do so much with a 5-inch Cinco. It's one of those things, especially, you know, what like Lake of the Ozarks, where there's, you have so many docks and things like that. You miss a fish, but you got that thing, pick it right up and throw in that wacky rig and boom.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're like throwing a frog or swimming a jig or something like that, you just throw a wacky rig in there with a Cinco on it, and a lot of times it catches them.
Yep. Wacky or Texas? What's your favorite?
I like wacky rig.
Can I come? So Cody Meyer was on again last week, and you know, after having the career that he's had, he told me at what did he say? I think 75% of his fish this year were caught on a wacky and a jackhammer. He said he either had a Cinco on or a Zaco on, and that's 75%. It didn't matter what lake he went to, that was his go-to. It's just, you know how it is. If you got a confidence in your bait, it's just when you're confident. It's like you probably out there with a minnow on forward face, and it's your confidence. You know that's what you go to, and confidence means the world on fishing.
For sure, it does.
Well, man, I think the questions are slowing down, and we've all been here about an hour. Of course, I was a little bit late, but appreciate you coming on here. We're looking forward to kicking off the year with you on the Elites. You'll see the F3 Media team tagging along there, some of them. So we'll have cameras going and try to give them some coverage for sponsors and just hang out with you guys and have some fun.
Heck yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Thank y'all for having me on.
Us too. No